What's up, everyone? Thanks for watching. We're finally going to be building the rooftop tent today. So as some of you guys know, I just built that roof rack, and the only reason I built that is to put a rooftop tent on top of. So that's what I'm going to do today. I picked up some of this wood yesterday. This is a 1/2-inch sheet of plywood for the base, and since the way I built the rack, there's pretty much posts every 1 foot, so this doesn't really need to be supported too much. So I picked up this piece of plywood. I got a lot of 2x4s over there, some 1x4s, 1x2s of course, and then another sheet of this is like 11/32 plywood for the top of it. And let me show you guys how I'm going to put this together. So here's just kind of a little piece of what I'm going to do. So here's the 2x4, and I cut it down on the table saw, 1 inch in and 1 inch down, and that is going to be the base. And that way I have a lip here as like a weather seal type of thing, and this is going to be the top 1x4, and it's going to be able to go right into that groove, and that leaves me some room to screw in the canvas in between the 1x4, and yeah, it also just keeps it pretty strong, won't move back and forth at all. So I got to do that to all the 2x4s all the way down, and then we'll connect them in here. Should be pretty simple. I just cut it down on the table saw. It took a few minutes. I don't really have to measure much. So for the dimensions, it's going to be a 4 foot wide by 7 foot. So I got to cut down the plywoods, both pieces of plywood, and also everything else to 7 foot. This is going to be a pretty budget build since I'm going to be doing all of the work, and I bought all the wood. I got the canvas ordered, all the latches, hinges, stuff like that. And it pretty much comes out to just under $400 for everything with the mattress and all that. So compared to the like $1,500 to like $2,000 ones, I think I'm doing pretty good. This is a pretty simple setup for the table saw. We got the saw sticking out 1 inch, and we also got this guide over 1 inch. So basically just cutting a little square out of the 2x4 for the base. Okay, so I'm pretty much just going to scale this up to the longer 2x4s. So let's get cutting. Alright, before you start cutting, you're going to want to figure out which side you want to face outward. And for me, I'm going to have this side face out. I'm actually going to cover these little knots and stuff with Bondo when it's all cut and sanded and everything. That way it just makes it a lot smoother and makes it so it doesn't look like wood.
Must pay homage to him.
Got that cut, went pretty smoothly, just 1 inch by 1 inch, and it's fairly straight. The table saw is pretty good at that. You need 2 people, one to kind of hold this whole thing from going, and this is still the full 8 foot length, so I got to cut it down. But yeah, this will be the exterior, and this will be the interior. So this lip just keeps water from getting in there. There's a little bit of a lip right here, but that's fine. The canvas will screw to here. Should be perfect. Now I just got to do that to the 2 other 2x4s I have there, and then we'll be pretty much ready to start chopping everything to length and screwing it together. Got all 3 2x4s cut. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut the plywood to length, which is 84 inches, 7 feet. And I'm going to go ahead and cut those guys also. 2 of them need to be 7 feet, and then the other 2 are going to fit in between those. So I got to measure out and cut those. Alright, I got everything cut. The plywood, the 1x4s, the 2x4s, the notch in the 2x4s, everything is cut. So it's pretty much just assembly right now. I'm going to go ahead and find some wood glue because I know I have some. And then I'm going to get some screws. I have some screws. And yeah, we're going to screw it and glue it, and it should be nice and tight and strong. So since I got everything cut out already, it's pretty much time to start screwing it together. So I'm going to screw it together as like a mock-up. Obviously drill pilot holes and stuff like that. And I'm just going to use regular construction screws for everything. So I'm going to go ahead and screw it together, and then I'll take it apart again and glue it to make sure everything is how I want it to be. Let me go ahead and show you guys my setup here. So what I'm doing is grabbing that C-clamp and I'm clamping the 1x4 right here, clamping that down, and then get it all square and everything. And I got that black drill is my pilot hole, and then that green drill is my countersink, and then I use this impact driver to drive the screw in. I'm not putting any glue right now, just kind of a dry fit, but that's kind of what I'm doing. Of course, you can just get one of those little like pilot hole bits with the countersink in them. That's pretty nice too. I just not at the, I mean, this is what I have right now. I don't feel like going to the store and grabbing one. Not a big deal. All right, everything's lining up how I want it to line up. So I got these corners all nice. They're nice and smooth. Of course, I can sand that after, so I probably will. But the plywood sits on there perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and unscrew this base and put some glue in there, all the corners, and screw them back together. And then while that's drying, I will put glue on the top of these 1x4s and go ahead and stick this plywood down on top and screw it in. No need for clamps because that's what the screws do. So yeah, you see it already kind of looks like a little box. So I got the top screwed on in the four corners just to hold it kind of true, hold the box true. So I'm going to go around and put a couple screws in the sides, in the long sides and then in the short sides. And I didn't glue on the top yet. I'll glue that after these ones are already dry. And then I'll set this thing back on there and do it like that. Just gonna go ahead and let this box wait here for a little while, let it all dry. I'll read the directions on the glue since I already glued it, so I'll just see how long it takes. Yep, that's pretty much how I do these things. It's pretty square, everything looks decent. Of course, I'm gonna have to do some sanding, make sure everything's perfect. But right now it's looking pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and screw this bottom base together. This lip will end up getting cut off, that way it matches up with this one. But I'm gonna go ahead and screw it in, just dry fit it all and make sure it's all good. Okay, this is still the top piece, so what I'm gonna go ahead and do now that this is cured for an hour or so, a couple hours, I'm gonna put glue on top of these 1x4s. Make sure you get a lot on there, that you want a good seal on there. And then I'm gonna go ahead and set the plywood on top and screw it down. I got quite a few screws all the way around. That'll help to clamp it. I might drill a few more, but for now it should be good to clamp it nice and evenly. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and glue these 2x4s and then screw them to the base, and then we'll have a box, at least a fairly weather sealed box to deal with. And then I can go ahead and move on to like finishing the wood and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's moving along pretty nicely. Just make sure everything's square. And I'm gonna need a little bit. I mean, this stuff doesn't fit perfect. That's just how it is sometimes. But I'll do it as best I can to make it fit nice. All right, the glue is now on the frame, and we're gonna go ahead and set the plywood on top and screw it down. Ready? All right. Ready?
You're good with all that in there?
Looks good to me. Right?
Nice work.
So now we got it glued, and you can see that it pushed out the glue, so that's good. Go ahead and you can run with your finger along there and seal it up, which is what I'm going to do in a minute, but that's how you know you got a good seal all the way through it. That's going to be it for today, for day one at least of the build. So I got it all screwed in. The top piece is pretty much done. I'm going to need to do a whole bunch of sanding, but it's pretty much done there. All right, now that I got this all glued together, I let it sit overnight and everything. I'm gonna go ahead and screw and glue some of these crossbars in here just to stable it up a little bit because it's pretty bendy. And then I'm gonna go ahead and glue the plywood and this whole bottom base together. Now the way I'm doing this is I'm letting the plywood square up the base because it's a little out of square when you screw it and everything. It'll move around just a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and use the corners of the plywood since I know those are square, and I'm going to use the plywood to square up the base. So you can see I have these two corners on this end perfectly square, but you can see how off it is on that end. So basically I'm just going to kind of work it in and one screw at a time on the corners and work it that way to bolt it down. So you can see how nicely that squared it up. So it's pretty much perfect on all the corners. So what I'm going to do is undo the top screw and then undo these two screws, put some glue in there, do it on the same on that side, and then go over to that side and do the same thing. And basically use the plywood as a form to hold these joints together. So I got these two 1x2s set in place. They're not glued or anything, I just kind of wedged them in there. Now you can see very, very slight bow in it. So there was a little bit bigger of a bow, like 1/4 inch. So I jammed those things in there pretty good and it straightened it out pretty close. See, both sides are pretty good. And what I'm thinking of doing is grabbing some of these strips that I had when I cut down the 2x4. So I'm probably going to put one right here in the middle, like that. Alright, I got this top part all screwed together. So these are just 1x2s here on the ends, and then in the middle it's a kind of a 1x1, but like a true 1x1 because I cut it out of the 2x4. So that's what I got in the center, and I just used 1¼ inch screws. I could probably do a little, like just 1-inch screws would have been fine. They stick out a little, but I'll just go around with the grinder and grind all that stuff off. Got the box on top of the Montero. It's pretty low profile. It's only about 7 inches thick, so it doesn't add a whole lot of height to the car, but it fits pretty nice. You can see the crossbars under there that keep that bottom piece of plywood really firm. I don't have a hinge on it or anything, we just set it up there to see what it would look like. Looks pretty good. Just kind of a box on there. Yeah, still needs a lot of finishing work. It's not perfect around the edges and stuff. It's not 100%, but I think I'll be able to fix that. It's gonna get a weather seal and all that stuff, so it'll kind of be hidden also. I'm gonna fill all the screw holes with Bondo, sand it all, and then a couple coats of oil-based primer sealer, and then a couple coats of oil-based paint. So it should be very well waterproofed. But yeah, looks pretty good up there. Here it is open. That's about a 50-inch opening, so that's pretty good. I don't have a hinge on it or anything, it's just sitting on there. But I ordered, I believe, just enough canvas to get this done with this amount of opening. So I'm just gonna have to sand down all this right now, and we'll get it all nice and smooth, and then I'll go over it with some Bondo, and we'll be ready to coat it with some paint and then start sewing. Alright, I got a lot of it sanded so far. It's all nice and smooth now, but I'm going to do the rest of the sanding when they're together like this. That way I can make it look more uniform and get all the corners nice, the sides nice. So I'm going to clamp them with, I got four wood clamps, or you use whatever clamps you want, but that's what I have. So I'm going to go ahead, clamp them down, and do the rest of the sanding, make sure it's all nice on there, nice and contoured, so it looks like it was made out of one piece. Got it all clamped, 4 corners. Now we're just going to contour these edges with the sander and make them even with each other. Now is a good time to mark front and back, I guess. That way it goes on the same way every time. So I'll just mark this front and that one back and we'll be good. Start sanding. It's not a whole lot has to be sanded. Maybe a 1/16 of an inch here and a 1/16 over there, but not too much. Just got done sanding all the corners and they're damn near perfect. Down, they're mostly lined up, like pretty damn close. But you know, wood is wood. It's probably gonna warp at some point. But I'm gonna try and get it sealed here in the next couple days, painted and everything. Gotta fill all these knots with Bondo or some type of stuff. But overall, it's looking pretty good. It's nice and smooth. It's not too heavy, and yeah, just some finishing stuff. Round off all these corners down here on the plywood, and just kind of get the side all nice and finished. And I'll be ready to roll on some paint. Alright, so I got it all sanded down. I just started filling all of the screw heads with, this is called Fix-All. It comes in like a big bag with powder and stuff. You just mix it with water and it gets like rock hard. So all I gotta do is sand all that down, and it'll basically look like it's not made of wood, which is what I'm going for. Alright guys, that's gonna be it for part 1 of the rooftop tent build. Basically just built the base of it and got it all sanded and everything. So this was kind of the easy part. The hard part's gonna be sewing up the canvas and getting everything else squared away. So that's gonna be it for this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.